That the Browns continue a busy day making trades in the NFL, seeking to acquire Tyrod Taylor from the Buffalo Bills in exchange for draft compensation. This coming just a few hours after they make a trade with Miami to get Jarvis Landry on the books for 2018. Tyrod able to finish out this last season in a playoff loss in Jacksonville as the starting quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, and now he will have an opportunity to be a quarterback for Jarvis Landry with these new-look Cleveland Browns. And to discuss the trade and the compensation, let's bring in NFL Network insider Ian Rapoport. Ian, what can you tell us about the deal this afternoon?
This deal, which came together pretty quickly this afternoon and does give the Cleveland Browns a bridge quarterback for the 2018 season, is it in exchange with to the Buffalo Bills in exchange for a third-round pick. The only pick they have is pick number 35, and obviously that is a big one and a valuable one. So that goes from Cleveland to Buffalo. And for the Bills, they now have a couple things. First of all, they have no starting quarterback. That is one, but they now become a potential landing spot for a free agent quarterback, whereas they weren't just a couple minutes ago. They also have more ammunition to take all of their picks and trade up in the draft. Remember, they have picks, 2 picks back-to-back in the 20s in the first round. They also have 2 second-rounders. They have 2 third-rounders. They have a lot of picks to go up and get a quarterback. All of a sudden, the Bills have become one of the top teams to watch coming up in the draft.
And they get that third-round pick number 65, Ian. But you mentioned bridge quarterback. A lot of people had made the connection between A.J. McCarron and Hugh Jackson. Surprised there that it's going to be Tyrod Taylor as the bridge?
A little surprised. Certainly there was a lot to like about the Browns and A.J. McCarron. Of course, Hugh Jackson, his old coach, is the coach of the Browns now, and I know still firmly had him in his sights. But for the Cleveland Browns, what they did was obviously go for someone with a little more experience. A.J. McCarron, talented. I know a lot of people like the short resume he's put together, but it is a short resume. Tyrod Taylor has been a 500 quarterback, helping lead a team to the playoffs and end a huge playoff drought. He is a viable starter and a good starter, and someone who now will likely start for the Cleveland Browns as their makeover continues to take shape in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, big change in Cleveland. Let's bring in Aditi Kinkhabwala now, also on this discussion with the Browns and seeking quarterbacks. Aditi, as Ian was just saying, that connection between Hugh Jackson and A.J. McCarron, something so many people looked at. What can you tell us about how Tyrod plays into this?
You know what? Not only that piece of it, Patrick, but Ken Zampese, too, the quarterbacks coach. He was a huge fan of A.J. McCarron. But there's a new offensive coordinator in Cleveland, and that's Todd Haley. And Todd Haley, I've been told, really likes Tyrod Taylor. But the move of the day is the Jarvis Landry. When the trade happened for Jarvis Landry, I thought that this was the Cleveland Browns saying, okay, we mean business, and we are not the same Cleveland Browns that you think of or that you've always thought us to be. Because, look, everybody knew this was going to be a hard sell to free agents. Hugh Jackson said as much the day after the season ended, that this is basically going to be their big difficulty. So you go out, you make a bold move, you say, hey, we've got Josh Gordon, we've got Jarvis Landry, we're still in the market for upgrading our receiving core, and that was to make it more attractive to quarterbacks. So whether Ian wants to say it or not, I'll tell you, I'm definitely stunned by this. But I'm not sure that the Browns are done on the quarterback market just yet.
And Aditi, you mentioned that deal with Jarvis Landry, at least the deal to acquire Jarvis Landry. Do you think that the Browns are interested in signing Jarvis to a long-term deal before the season starts?
I think absolutely. And Ian is probably, let's be honest, is better equipped to answer that. But I don't think they do this for a one-year deal. This is definitely something they're looking to lock down. And I'll give you this. When John Dorsey took over as general manager of the Chiefs in 2013, he took over a 2-14 team. He immediately made that team a playoff team. They went 11-5 that season. How did he do it? Through free agency and on the trade market. He went out, he got Alex Smith, a veteran quarterback who obviously was a cornerstone there for 5 years, and he worked the market. It wasn't necessarily. Now, we know that 2013 draft wasn't the greatest of drafts, but with 12 draft picks to work with when they started the day-to-day, John Dorsey has a lot to maneuver with, and he has a lot to offer. The Browns are definitely going to be players over the next week, that's for sure.
Aditi, if you look at your Twitter timeline, or really anybody's right now, a lot of people are making the connection that Tyrod Taylor goes to Cleveland here. So that means a quarterback might not be in the picture at one. Do you feel that way?
No, definitely not, because I do not believe, I mean, with all due respect to Tyrod Taylor, this is not the franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. And the Cleveland Browns, as long as they have been the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, have been searching for that franchise quarterback. I think the phrase that Ian used, a bridge quarterback, is really the best way to look at this.
Let's bring Ian back in this conversation with regards to at least the Jarvis Landry portion of Cleveland's wild day of trades. The idea of signing Landry long-term, do you think there's a timeline on that, or is Cleveland okay with having him on the tag this season?
Well, at this point, they are expected to talk, but they have not talked just yet. And this is a situation that could go a couple different ways. The Browns are willing to pay him something along the lines of what the franchise tag would be, $16 million. Then sure, something could get done, but he doesn't have to do a deal. We've seen players go out and play on the franchise tag. It's basically a one-year, $16 million deal. Go out, see how Todd Haley, the offensive coordinator, uses him and cash in after the season. So it remains to be seen whether or not a deal actually can get done. The timetable exists the same as it was for all players who have signed the franchise tag up through July 16th. So he's not going to get to play a season before they do a deal, but they will at least get him in OTAs and minicamp and maybe see what kind of player they have.
Ian, one thing we discussed earlier this week was Landry and his representation would have the opportunity to seek out a trade partner. Is this one of the trade partners that they sought out, or was this something that Miami and Cleveland did without them?
It sounds like that all parties were aware that this would take place. It's not something that Landry's agent went and found. The Browns, I know, were interested in talking to the Dolphins, and along with the Baltimore Ravens, were really one of the more, probably the most interested parties. So they were pretty quickly the team to beat here. And even though Landry doesn't end up with the multi-year deal right away, it is something that he wanted. It is a place that he was okay going, and I think it's pretty obvious now that these Browns are very different from the old Browns.
Yeah, certainly, at least in the quarterback position. Tyrod Taylor to Cleveland in exchange for a third-round pick 65. Breaking news here on NFL Network. Kurt.